right. Good evening, everybody. Hello, my name is Dusty Davidson. I'm the owner and manager of Showtime Travel Agency, Dream Vacations. And welcome tonight. I know as a drama teacher, it's very difficult to find time to attend things like this, but I appreciate you being here. I know you probably have props to mend and costumes to sew and papers to grade and all of that. So I know it's a tough time, but I appreciate you being here to learn more about the summer immersion program that we're starting up with TXETA and to join us on the trip. So my name is Dusty Davidson. I am a former high school theater teacher. I taught high school drama for 29 years and have been a lifelong or career-long member of TXETA. It's an organization I hold very dear to my heart. I volunteer with them all the time. I coordinated auditions for a while and worked with auditions for about 11 years. And it's something that I strongly believe in. And they approached me recently about after I retired and started my travel agency about helping start a program for teachers for professional development. And that's what this is all about. So I'm going to give you the details tonight, go through all the information I've got for you. And at the end, I'll answer any questions that you might have. You can always contact me anytime after this. I'll give you my contact information at the very end. And hopefully we can get you signed up and ready to go on the trip. So I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to turn my video off so I'm not a distraction. And I'm going to share my screen with you. And we'll get going here. There we go. All right, so part of why we want to do this is, as theater teachers and as teachers in general, we want to promote lifelong learning and to demonstrate that as teachers. And most teachers don't have a problem with that. They are, always looking for experiences and opportunities to learn. TXETA decided that there was a need for some more to help with a different type of professional development. We have, Theater Fest and Summer Fest, and those are very successful programs. But the feedback we've gotten is like, it's just not enough time. You go in, you learn something for an hour, and then you're off to the next session, and you don't really have time to really immerse yourself in the opportunity. So they were looking for something more experiential and more immersive. And then also, something that's different than the opportunities that we've had before with Theater Fest and Summer Fest. So TXETA always wants to support their teachers, their development in all aspects of their careers and their experience levels. And so, this was just another opportunity to help do that. And, you don't have to have, you can be a first year teacher, or you can, have decades behind you and still find these experiences helpful for you and into your classroom. So a little about the itinerary. So what we've got is day one is simply just your overnight flight to Athens. Now we can help you with your flights. The price that I'm going to give you at the end does not include airfare. That is only for the program, because we know that a lot of people have buddy passes or you've got points that you've built up over the years. And there are other ways to help save money on airfare. So airfare is not included in this as part of the package, and plus dealing with people coming from different parts of the state, it would be really hard to get like a good, solid, consistent number for everyone. So airfare will be different for everyone. And is not included in the price. Now we can help you make those arrangements. If you want to purchase your airfare, we can help you purchase those. Right now, the airfare is actually looking really pretty good. The last couple of weeks I've been checking, and it's right around $1,000 or less, depending on where you're coming from. Houston was only about $718. San Antonio was about $980. Austin was about $950. So that's some really good pricing right now for economy airfare. For a round trip. So, but we are happy to help you make those arrangements or not. If you do make the arrangements on your own, just be aware that the flight over is an overnight flight. There's no way around that. It is definitely overnight. And then the flight return from Athens, if it is direct, is you return on the same day that you leave. There are some flights that are really, really cheap that you can have a marathon layover in London or Amsterdam, and take 30 something hours to get back, which would be the next day. But it is easier to get back on the same day. The second day is actually when your trip really kind of starts. You arrive in Athens and find your way to the hotel and check in there. And the remainder of the day is free with everyone coming in at different times. There's not anything really scheduled that first day, but just kind of, get your bearings, get a little rest if you want to, kind of wander around in the area. And then that evening is the first planned event. And there's a welcome dinner at Plaka restaurant, which is a wonderful restaurant. Um, Plaka is it's a traditional restaurant, and Plaka is one of the oldest sections of Athens. Most of the streets have been closed off to automobile traffic, so it's just pedestrian foot. As you can see, kind of in the picture there, there's got a bicycle in there. You might have some delivery trucks or motorcycles early in the day, but it is pretty much pedestrian traffic. It's a beautiful area of old Athens. And though it's been a little bit commercialized for tourists and stuff, it is arguably the nicest neighborhood in Central Athens. And you'll really love that area and the beauty. You can tell from the picture there, it's just stunning. And then, of course, you're going to overnight there at the hotel in Athens. Day 3, we'll start out with breakfast at the hotel. And this is where your trip really kicks off. You're going to start at breakfast at the hotel and then go on a sightseeing tour of Athens. And this includes Acropolis and the new Acropolis Museum. You'll have an expert guide to take you around to see the city center. That includes Constitution Square, the House of Parliament, the Memorial of the Unknown Soldier, and the National Library. Now, on your way to the Acropolis, you'll also see Hadrian's Arch, the Temple of Olympian Zeus, and then you'll have a short stop at the Panathenaic Stadium, and that's where the first modern Olympic Games were held back in the 1896. And so you're probably familiar with all of those places. On the Acropolis, you'll visit the architectural masterpieces of the golden age of Athens, the Propylaea, the Temple of Athena Nike, the Erechtheion, and finally, of course, the famous Parthenon. And from the Parthenon, you walk to the Theater Dionysus, which is built on the south slope of the Acropolis Hill. That's just the big heartbeat for all of us in the beginnings of theater. It was the first orchestra terrace that was constructed on the site around mid to late 6th century BC, and where it hosted the city Dionysia. And since your first taste of Athens couldn't be complete without a visit to the Acropolis, the landmark of Athens. And then the Acropolis Museum. There's a modern architectural building where the statues have found their home, and you can admire the wonders and masterpieces of the classical era. Now, later in the afternoon, you'll be meeting with the Greek Theater Association for an interactive workshop, and we're so excited about that opportunity. It's something that we've worked really hard at scheduling for you, and it'll be something definitely very memorable and something very helpful for you. After the meeting with the Greek Theater Association and the workshop, you'll return to the hotel, and the rest of the day is at your leisure. You can go back out and experience Athens in the evening, and you'll spend the night there at that hotel in Athens. On day 4, you'll start with breakfast at the hotel, and then we're going to take an excursion to Corinth and Epidaurus and Nafplion. After breakfast, we'll leave Athens and go along the scenic coastline until we reach the Corinth Canal. It's a beautiful, imposing landscape for Corinth Canal's protected waters, and it's one of the 19th century's earliest engineering masterpieces with history that starts as early as 602 BC. After a short photo stop, you'll drive on to the ancient city of Corinth, where St. Paul lived and preached for 2 years, for those of you who know from the Bible. And the remains of the city, which include the Agora, the Apollo's Temple, and the ancient theater there in Corinth, will be highlights of the trip. Now, the theater there was actually rebuilt on top of an older one that dates back to the end of the 5th century. So it shows clearly how rich and important Corinth was in ancient times, and particularly with art and theater. You'll stop on the way for lunch, and then you'll continue on to Epidaurus, where its 4th century BC theater is. And that one is famous for its astonishing acoustics. You'll learn all about that on your guided tour of Epidaurus. And then you'll stop at the town of Nafplion. It's a modern seaside resort. It has an old town area, and it's crowned by the mighty ramparts of the Palamidi Fortress, some ancient ruins that you'll enjoy there. And that evening, you'll have a performance at the Ebdaris Theater Festival. We're really excited about that opportunity. We don't know right now what the performances will be. The schedule for the festival will not be set until April. But as soon as we get those, the dates secured and the performance secured, we will let you know what that performance is. And then you're actually going to spend the night at a hotel in Nafplion. Day 5, or day 6 rather. Oh wait, did I skip day 5? Where'd day 5 go? Day 5, here we go. You'll have breakfast at the hotel. You can kind of see a theme developing there. Breakfast at the hotel every day. And then today we're going to journey from Nafplion to Argos. So we'll visit the theater of Argos, which, as you may know, had the capacity of 200,000 seats, 200,000 occupants. So it counts among the largest ancient theaters in Greece. And it's just an amazing, amazing sight. 200,000 seats kind of makes some of these modern stadiums look kind of small, doesn't it? You also have a morning workshop in Greek theater, or at least a lecture on ancient Greek theater that morning. And then Argos is a beautiful little spot. It's nesting in the southeastern side of Castle Hill. It's actually called Larissa Hill. And so it overlooks the ancient city and is visible from the Argolic Gulf there. It was built during the Hellenistic period in the 3rd century BC, and it probably it was host to music, drama contests from the Pan-Hellenic Nemean Games. And it had all sorts of competitions there, as well as political events and competitions that we know that take place in Argos in 205 BC involved guitar players and singers, and so it was big music and theater performance space. Then on day 6, so we return to Athens that afternoon. Sorry, you return to Athens late in the afternoon, and your evening is free in Athens. I believe that you'll actually return to the same hotel that you were staying in before we went off to Nafplion, but that's not guaranteed. On day 6, you'll have breakfast at the hotel, and then you've got another day trip planned to go to Delphi. Now, you'll drive through the beautiful fertile plains of Boeotia. You cross the town of Thebes, which, as you may remember, is connected with King Oedipus, the tragedy of King Oedipus. And these beautiful mountainous areas with farming valleys. It's an area that's traditionally yields the production of cotton and tobacco, and cereal crops and livestock, and it's just a beautiful fertile valleys nestled among these mountain ranges. The town is popular on the weekend for day trips from Attica, and it's a gathering place that's rich and famous, and it's also very famous for its cheese, the area. Now, when you arrive at Delphi, which is considered the center of the ancient world, it is called the Amphilos, which means navel of earth. Its prestige extends far beyond the boundaries of the Hellenic world. The slopes of Mount Parnassus, the landscape there is unparalleled in beauty and majesty. And there you'll find the ruins of the sanctuary of Apollo, which is the most famous oracle of the ancient world. While you're there, you'll visit the treasury of the Athenians, the temple of Apollo, and the museum. And the museum contains these incredible masterpieces of ancient Greek sculptures. It's got the bronze charioteer and famous athlete Aegeus, and the Sphinx as well. So you've got free time in Delphi for lunch, and then you'll actually take the same route back to Athens that you took on the way to Delphi. But this time, on the way back, you'll have a stop in Arakova. And Arakova is a picturesque mountainous village nestled at the foot of Mount Parnassus. It is the most cosmopolitan winter destination in Greece. It's a great area for people who are passionate about skiing. It's celebrities love to go there. and it's got great modern tourism facilities there too. It's a modern ski resort area, and it's like with 35 miles of Athens, so it's a lot of Athenians go there for the weekends and during breaks. And it's got breathtaking mountainous landscape and again, mountain activities and a bustling nightlife, and it's just one of the favorite resort areas for Athenians. Once you get back to Athens, you'll be free for dinner in the evening and just spend the night in Athens. On day 7, you'll wake up and you'll have breakfast at the hotel, and then one more trip out. You'll journey to Thoricos to visit the ancient theater there. So after breakfast, you'll leave. This is just north of the town of the modern town of Lavrion, which is a plain area that has sacred olive trees loomed over by an opposing hill that has 2 summits on it. It's a double summit hill. It is a very advantageous area that stretches east to the sea, and it was inhabited as early as the Neolithic area. Now, the theater was initially excavated in 1886 and it attracted a whole lot of attention because of its unusual layout. You may recall that it's got an oval auditorium, and it's also rectangular in shape as well. So it's kind of an interesting sample of how the architectural evolution of the ancient theaters progressed, with a beautiful view of the sea there as well. From there, you're going to head to the southernmost point of Attica to the east to visit Cape Sunion, where the white marble pillars of the Temple of Poseidon stand. And on the way, you'll just have this beautiful, splendid view of this Saronic Gulf and the islands offshore and all the beauty of the sea there. After visiting the Temple of Poseidon, you'll have time to walk around, spend some time there on the ruggedly beautiful rocky promontory of Sunion. It's hard to describe. It just kind of looks like these rugged rocky cliffs with this random, with this ruin there for the temple of Poseidon. Just the ruins that are left there, and it's just kind of a haunting, rugged, and beautiful place. So you'll return after Sunion. You'll return back along the coastal roads, passing by some beautiful beaches and the Athenian Riviera. Once you get back to Athens, then your evening is free for dinner and the nightlife of Athens. On day 8, after all the busyness of the time, you'll have breakfast at the hotel, and the entire day is free for you until the farewell dinner that evening. So you can spend this time visiting some of the other parts of Athens that you want to go back to, or that you may want to visit that you haven't seen before. We can help plan other day trips away if there's parts somewhere else that you want to go for the day and come back, and come back to Athens for the dinner. There's lots of opportunities there, or you can just kind of relax and sit and have coffee and watch the world go by and just enjoy your last day there. The farewell dinner is at Cousina Restaurant. This modern and moodily lit restaurant is more than just a pretty face. It's a beautiful restaurant. It's got an amazing view of the Acropolis, and here you'll experience a modern and kind of alternative Greek dishes that have traditional touches to them. It's highly recommended. It's one of the finest restaurants and highly recommended restaurants in Athens. And then day 9 of the trip, you'll have breakfast at your hotel, actually depending on what time your flight leaves, and then transfer to the airport for your flight home. So you can see it's a very busy schedule. There's a lot of things going on, but it's not all just riding on a bus. You have workshops and walking tours and things like that. So it's got a variety of things as part of the trip. So the things that are included in the price are 7 nights accommodation at a 4-star hotel or similar. Got the welcome dinner and the farewell dinner, daily breakfast at the hotel, a half-day city tour of Athens, visiting the Acropolis site and museum. That includes your transportation, an English-speaking guide, an entrance fee to the Acropolis site, Dionysus, and the Acropolis Museum, a 2-day tour of ancient Corinth and the Corinth Theater and Epidaurus, including transportation, an English-speaking guide, and your entrance fee to everything that is on the list. You'll have the full-day tour of Delphi, and the museum, including transportation again, your English speaking guide, and the entrance to the Delphi site and the museum there. It includes your tour of Cape Sunion and Thoricos, again, including transportation, an English speaking guide, your entrance fees as you need them. And then it also includes a workshop in Greek theater or lecture on ancient Greek theater, a meeting with the Greek Theater Association in Athens and a workshop with them, and then a performance at the Ancient Epidaurus Theater Festival. The things that are not going to be, it also includes 30 TEA CPE credits. 30 is a lot. So we're very excited about that opportunity. 30 TEA CPE credits and a certificate of completions with that. One other thing that we are proud of with this program is it does help support the local arts community there in Athens. So a portion of the program fees are going to are contributed and donated to global arts and literature preservation projects there in Athens. And so not only are you going and participating and getting something out of it, but you're also giving something back to that community there. Things that are not included, obviously, as I mentioned before, the airfare is not included, round trip airfare to and from Athens. Lunch and most dinners are not included, so that's counting as about 12 meals are included. And as you know, many of you who have traveled abroad, you know, you can make those as expensive or as cheap as you want throughout your trip. So you can grab, you know, a sandwich from a vendor on the street, or you know, have a nice sit down, you know, 5-course meal and all of that. So that can be as cheap or as expensive as you want. It does not include travel protection, which we highly recommend that you get travel protection, particularly nowadays. And it does not include gratuities for the local guides and drivers. And if you're estimating that, I would think about $15 per day that you are going on the tours. So $5 for the driver, $10 for the guides. Especially for the longer day tours. And then of course, any personal purchases are not included in the price. The price is $3,390, which is fantastic pricing. I was surprised how low it came in. I was expecting to be significantly higher than that. This is based on 10 passengers, double occupancy. There is a single supplement, so if you want a room by yourself, there's an additional $445 for that. To get your own room. And what we're asking is that there's a deposit of $500 that's due by February 1st, and then the balance is due May 1st, 2023. So you can pay your deposit from now until May 1st, if you want to. But we really wanted to have everybody's deposited in by February 1st, so that we know that the trip has made. We do have financing options available for you. I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. So if you want to sign up, you can go to this link. It's www.learningjourneys.com/Greek-theater-immersion, and find it there. Click the reserve now and enter your information, and they'll take all of your information and take your $500 deposit there. When it says referral code, do put TXETA 2023, and that way it makes sure that puts all of our group together. Any information on that, you can certainly contact me, and I will be happy to guide you through all that, or make the deposit and get you all set up for you. Okay, so here's my contact information. There's a QR code for that. You can scan that, and that gives you a phone number and email address access. If you want all this information for Greece again, here's a QR code for that. You can scan on the right-hand side. And then I'm going to let that sit for just a second so you can scan those as you want to. And then I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back for questions. I know it's been, if you have any questions, just feel free to type them into the chat there. I'm gonna get my video again. There I am. Okay, let's see, are there any questions? I know I kind of went through that pretty quickly. Actually, I don't see the chat. Where'd the chat go? There's the chat. Okay, yeah, so here we go. Question. So the breakfast meals are free. Yes, breakfasts are included. They will be at the hotel each day, so they're a part of the hotel package. So they will be included. And then we have the welcome dinner and the farewell dinner that are also included that. Otherwise, lunch and dinners are not included. And again, you can, if you travel before, you can make those as expensive or as cheap as you want. So, most of the time when I travel in Europe, I don't really eat lunch at all. I'm always on the go, so I'll just grab, some extra bread or some fruit from the buffet breakfast, continental breakfast, and take that for, kind of snack on along the way, or just purchase, stop and grab some fruit somewhere at a stand nearby. Okay, other questions. Who can actually, oh, I guess they were saying, yeah, so this is a trip for theater teachers. Yeah, so this is a trip for theater teachers. If you have a spouse that wants to go, they are welcome to join us. Any adult actually can go. They won't be required to participate in the workshops and things unless they want to. They're welcome to, but they're not required to. But realize that any part of the trip that they don't participate in is not deducted from the actual amount, so don't get credit for not participating. So they can still participate. They can participate if they want to, but the price is the price. So there will be no adjustment for price for any portion of the trip that's unused. Okay, so yeah, for the financing options. So here's a couple of things. In some of it may depend on if you're able to make the $500 deposit up front or not. So we use a program called Uplift, and so the company that we're using, that we put the trip together through Learning Journeys, uses them as well. So you can go through them, or you can go through us. If you go through us, I will start the process for you. And basically what it does is it takes the price of the trip and spreads it out over 24 payments. So there's a couple of ways that can work. You can, there are no structured payments. So you can, if you don't finance it through Uplift, you make your $500 payment and deposit, and then you can just pay what you can as you can up until the final payment is due the 1st of May. We can set you up on structured payments that way if you want to get it all paid off, up until that date as well. If you want to finance it through Uplift or one of these outside companies that we have access to, and again, I don't get anything from these companies. They're their own thing. It's something that they are preferred suppliers for our company, but I don't get any kickback from that. So I'm not. So that's not why I'm promoting those. It's actually just a good option. So here's what I would recommend as for that. If you can afford the $500 payment up front, I would say a deposit up front. Make the deposit, and then under all circumstances, I would wait till close to final payment to pay in full. That way you've got a hold of your money. and so they're not, making interest off of it. You make your own interest off of it, what little that may be, but pay the $500 deposit, and then pay what you can as you can to get the amount down. And then about a month before that final payment, let's say around the 1st of April, then finance it for the 2 years. Reason being, if you make the deposit and you pay a little bit as you go, it brings that amount down, and then your payments will be smaller. And then also it'll be extended out 2 years from April. So you kind of get it extended over 2.5 years rather than 2 years, if that makes sense. Now, if the $500 deposit is just going to be an issue as well, then you can, then obviously just get, maybe close to the February 1st date, do the financing and make the deposit and all the payment in full at that point with the Uplift program. Yes, airfare can be included in that. It's a little trickier though, because we have to get the money first before we can make the reservation for the airfare. So we would have to kind of estimate. I mean, I could get the quote for air, but knowing that it could fluctuate up or down, probably up, even within a couple of hours from when we get the pricing. So we would probably overestimate it, and then go through the process of the financing, and then it would pay off all of the amount for the airfare and the trip. And then anything that was left over, it was because we overestimated the amount to cover the airfare, would go back to them and come off the amount that you owe. So you wouldn't have to pay interest or anything on that amount. Now, when they do, they will do a credit check for you to make sure that you're good. And most of the time, it gets approved. I mean, it has to be a pretty severe situation that they actually don't approve these. But they do it as a soft hit on your credit. So it's not like a credit card application or a loan application when they do the credit check. That is a hard search on your credit, and that actually affects your credit score. It'll bring it down. It's a soft search on it, so they do it, but it doesn't affect your credit standing at all, like it would if it were a loan or a credit card application. So that makes sense. I think I can unmute you guys if you actually want to have other questions and we just want to talk direct. If you're okay with that, or do you have other questions? And we're live on Facebook too, so it's if you do have any questions you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. Somebody asked about the roommate situation. Yeah, so if you're going by yourself, and you don't want, the cheaper price to stay in the room, then what will happen is that you'll be assigned a roommate. It'll be somebody of the same gender, but it will be a Texas teacher, somebody through TXETA, and we'll get you introduced before this, so you kind of get to know each other, so it won't be kind of a harsh reality, a harsh thing when you a shock when you room. Now you can room by yourself if you want to pay that extra $400 or so. You're welcome to do that. But you're hardly ever in the rooms anyway. You're pretty much there just to sleep. They've got you going, a lot. It goes pretty fast. So you don't technically have to be a member of TXETA this year. What we're planning for this program is to be a yearly thing, and it would go different places. So this year this summer it will be Greece. The next summer it may be like Seattle or Chicago or something like that, and then Toronto. So we're looking at it to do kind of sort of domestic, or sort of abroad, domestic, abroad, domestic. And so this year, just because we're trying to get the program going and just kind of see how it goes, we're not requiring that you are a member of TXETA. It's probably a good idea to do, because you're getting credits from them for your CPE. So it's a good idea to go ahead and join if you are not a member. And we may have some teachers from out of state that are joining us as well, but we'll put you with, as far as the rooming, we'll put you with TXETA members. So. Any other questions? Well, we discourage children. If you've got a teenage son or daughter that is, maybe a junior or senior, that's a big theater person, we might, that might be okay. It is geared towards teachers. There's kind of the thing of like, teachers may not, it just may be weird. Teachers may not feel comfortable around other students, during the workshops and stuff. But I don't know how like truly in depth the workshops are going to be. Like, they're not going to. I don't think you'll feel too vulnerable in those situations. But I would think that if you've got a high school student that is your child, that they might be okay with you, but certainly not open to like your thespian group or your high school kids, your classes and stuff. This is really geared towards teachers, and so you can, family is okay to bring along, but beyond that, we won't allow that. So it is for teachers. Any other questions? Did that help with the financing question? I kind of went back and forth on it. Okay, good. Thank you. Again, I'll type my email address in the chat there, so you've got it. So if you have any questions, you can contact me there, and phone number as well. and then the phone number. And so if you have any questions, you're ready, or you want to get signed up, you can shoot me an email or give me a call. I'm happy to get going. Do feel free to let your other theater teacher friends know. They are welcome to come as well. And hopefully we can have a really good trip. I know I talked kind of fast through all of that. So it's Monday and I know people have a lot of things to do. I didn't check Facebook to see if there are any questions, but no, they didn't have it. Okay, good. Okay. Well, if nobody else has questions, then we'll let you go for the evening. This will be this is recorded, and so I'll make sure that since you're here, that you get an email copy, a link to it, so you can go back and reference it some. If you want to look at the slides and stuff. And again, the QR codes there that had the detailed information stuff that you can look at and pull up all the details. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions anytime. If there's no more questions for now, then I'll say good evening and thank you for coming. I appreciate it.